Execution is hard. If you ever want to be unique, just execute. You'll become the 1%. Another day. Attack the day. Welcome back to another episode of the ATD Chronicles, where I unload insights from the ATD letter that goes out every Friday to help you engineer tools to attack the day. I'm Drew Cameron. This week's newsletter, I recalled a period of time back when 19 happened. I don't know if YouTube is still censoring, so I just say 19. And if you read the letter, you know what that is, right? We had a trying time in 2019. We all faced it. We all went through it. And this is just me recalling what I did, how I overcame it, and kind of what birthed and what came from it. So at a point in 2019, I was heavy into my barber career, right? I was finally getting basically, let's just put it out there. I was finally getting the money I wanted. I was finally getting the bread that I wanted from cutting hair, right? This is around March, April time period, same time period it was now, right? And I had like my third month of making $10,000 cutting hair, right? And well, just under. I was like 8,000. I want to be honest, like 8,000, 7,000 another, and then like 9,000 another, right? So I had like 789 to be specific, right? Fact checking, keep being honest. So during that time, you know, for me, it was like, bruh, like everybody that told me I couldn't do it, proved them wrong, proved me right, kept my word to myself, right? Even down to my family, right? You know, they were skeptical. They were like hesitant, like, you leaving this great job, this tech job to go cut hair? Like, you good? You straight? You know, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? So it's one of those moments where I stand on what I was gonna do, right? So anyway, so let's put it in perspective. So I'm finally getting the fruits of my labor are coming to fruition, right? I'm starting to get the notoriety. I'm starting to get what I put into this is starting to pour back into me. Then 2019 happened. What I'm supposed to do, right? And mind you, let's put this in another perspective too. Mind you, if you've been following the channel, you know I'm retired military, right? My wife and I had other things going on, passive income, real estate property, rental property. So it wasn't like, you know, when this happened, it was the end of the world. But at the same time, like I had things, I had goals, I had stuff that I wanted. I had standards that I had set for my family that were possibly going to be now not able to be met and held, right? So there was a certain level of pressure that me as a man, father, leader was under, right, when all that happened. Not to mention, like during that time, my wife, she was working for the government, right? So she was having to go to work. Now they had a system where they were like, some people would go earlier in the day and the other people would come in later in the day. So they were keeping a social distancing thing going on, right? But check this out. It was hard during that time for me because I'm at home, you know what I'm saying, with the kids playing daddy daycare, and you know, they ain't the kind of situation I wanted. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm being honest, that ain't the situation I wanted. I didn't want to be like, I love raising my children. I've always been there. I've always been able to do that, right? But don't get me wrong, but it was a certain level of traditionalism that I had. It was like, I go to work, I do this, you know what I mean? I provide. But again, it goes into the strong nurturing thing as a father. It was a stepping stone in my life to help me determine that, okay, you know what? Yeah, you provide, but you got to provide other things than just money. Provisionally, right? You got to emotionally support them, you know, nurturing, all of those things. You still need to be able to do that too. So anyway, back to the story. So during this time, you know, situation hits, and now I'm making all this money. Now it's like dead. It's stopped. I'm sitting in the house like going crazy. I'm like most people, I'm on career, what was it? Career karma, careers, trying to see if I'm about to get back into tech. If I'm about to do this, I'm about like, bro, I'm going crazy. Like how I'm gonna get this bread? How I'm gonna get this money, you know? Once we realize, okay, you get a vaccine or whatever, get the shot, whatever, I ain't doing it. But once we realize all that, you know, it's like, okay, so I can work from home, I can do all this or whatever. And I'm like, bro, like I'm not doing that. That's not what I wanted to do. That's not what I set out to do. So I'm not doing it. So I hunkered down, I thought about it, and in all that silence, like I had a major dilemma, like, okay, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna still get this bread? So during all that silence, when my barbershop was like destroyed, basically in my head, it was like total destruction, like for the barber industry, right? During that time, what I did is I sat still, I sat in silence, and I started thinking, like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna make this work? I can't go to the shop, right? So I said, hey, I had like a epiphany moment. It's like, well, bet I could bring the shop to them. And I remember a time when I was in barber school and just period when I envisioned cutting hair, it was never on the tip of tradition. I've always been like a out of the box type thinker. I remembered an article I read years ago from this barber in the United Kingdom, black guy, and his whole story on why he created a mobile barber service. And he created a mobile barber service because there were no black barbershops in the United Kingdom. I don't know if that's changed. Anybody that's in the United Kingdom, you know, let me know, whatever. But he had created a mobile barber business, right? And it was before Uber came out. This was like the Uber of barbering, you know. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of barbers that over the years have done house calls. And I mean, I can go into deep research on barber, and I might one day about bloodletting and how barbers and dentists are the same. It's a whole thing. Like people don't even realize like where tonsorialists come from. It's deep, right? But anyway, so I go into all that to say, during that time, you know, I had to make a pivot. I had to change on what I was going to do. So I couldn't go to the barbershop. You know, people didn't want to come to the barbershop. So what was I going to do? Right. So I decided, like, you know what? I remember this article. Let me go ahead and dive deep into figuring out how to do this. Right. So I decided to figure out how to be and do mobile service because there were people, first responders, people that were definitely still out. And there was a way that, you know, I could get out if I had a purpose. Right. So, you know, learn the laws of the land and you can work and manipulate and maneuver. Right. So I figured out, OK, I can do mobile service. I can hit up the first responders. I can take care of the doctors. I can take care of everybody that still got to make the world rotate. Right. So, boom, that was who I was going after. That was my target. Right. And I knew that I could charge a premium for that. So I did numbers. I did the logistics. I did all of the numbers to figure all that out. And I had my family, right? So at this time, everybody's at home. My kids were at home. They're doing school at home. I'm going through figuring out a schedule that would align with them, that could allow me to do that. And then I started paying attention to the timeline of these kids in school and these teachers and everything. So I'm a very critical thinker. You know what I mean? And so I broke down all of those numbers, all of that information, and crafted a plan on how I was going to market and everything. And I used my family to help me do that. So I had my kids helping me create flyers for social media. I reached out to the community. I did survey how to make everybody more comfortable with coming into their home to provide haircuts, right? To provide a barber service. I had my wife film the commercial, and I'll probably put the clip or something in here, you know what I mean, maybe at the end or whatever, for the commercial I ran on YouTube. And I think it's still on there. And I actually, to this day, I need to take all that down. I still have people reaching out to me to cut hair. And depending on how I'm feeling, I might do it. But a lot of times I have barber friends, people in the barber industry that I outsourced that out, you know what I mean? And that was one of the major things that came from that business too. I had so much business because I did it so well, right? That I was able to outsource a lot of that and still kind of get like some income from that, kind of be a broker for barbers, right? So I reached out to old barber classmates, people I used to work with in the barber industry shops, And I would reach out to them, hey, you want to cut hair? You want to do this? So I was giving people the business, right? And so it was a great feeling, because that's the part of being an entrepreneur. You're supposed to create jobs, right? That's how you know a successful business. That's how you know you are truly have a business, when you have so much work that you can give it to other people. And it goes back to, the story of Jesus, right? 12 disciples. The story is so big. It had so many people, right? I mean, God, it was so big, right, that he needed other people to embark on that journey with him, other people that could touch places he couldn't. I mean, he could touch anywhere, you know what I mean? But other thought leaders to touch, right? So that's why if you are building a business, it's important to know that you want to build it to the point where you can branch out and give other people jobs and work. And that's why crafting and building a legacy is so important. But let me rewind. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I want to make sure that I go through this in a process so you guys can receive it and digest it. When I was building all that, my approach when I do anything is more than just business. It's more than just making money, making an income. It's deeper than that, because my whole goal in everything that I do, or my standard, is to not make business to where I have to center my life around business. I center business around my life. There are certain things that are non-negotiables for me that I do. Most importantly, my family, my walk with God, foundational things like keeping my health, my body intact. All of those things are non-negotiables for me. So anytime I craft a business, anytime I go on a new venture, I have to make it align and work in unison. And if you want to know how to do that and craft that, I have a video about the phalangeer, right? And why, what is it called? Can't remember the title. I just did it last week, but I put that somewhere around here, right? But I'm all about balance and moving in a way that makes sense and aligns with your purpose, right? And you have to know your purpose in order to make sure it aligns with it. So with me always talking about building blueprints, building plans, and crafting a strong foundation, for me, it's about the legacy that I'm leaving my children and the generations to come, right? So I want to make sure that everything I do is purpose-filled and is done in a way that my kids can do it, and their kids can do it, and their kids can do it, right? So that way they don't have to be stuck in societal norms, and they can do whatever it is that they want in life, right? Because that's what we're on this earth to do. God has given everybody the power of creation. And with the power of creation, you can create anything, right? By putting him first and understanding how the world works and that you are a part of a whole. So I know I went deep, but life is deep, right? But yeah, so building a legacy is very important, right? And by crafting and building that legacy, you can leave it for generations to come. And that's what I aim to do, and that's what I'm doing. So in today's world, we're filled with tons of distractions and everything pulling us away from our purpose. So how do you navigate that? How do you stay focused, right? Again, it goes back to your why. It goes back to those core principles and understanding like that you're building a blueprint, always focused on the mission, whatever your mission is. That is a surefire way to make sure that the distractions don't win, right? That you can beat the distractions by focusing on your why and remembering it. So I want to talk briefly about the blueprint I discussed in the ATD letter and kind of give you some quick details and nuggets, about 6 details that will help you to be able to craft your own blueprint. So number 1, it involves identifying core values. Number 2, sharing stories of success and failures. Number 3, managing time wisely. Number 4, building a community. Number 5, facing objections. And number 6, continuously evolving. So if you are trying to build a legacy, if you're trying to build anything in life, I just gave you a story about something that was trying in my life and that we all faced and how I navigated through it. So I would tell you to reflect on past experiences, to better align with your purpose, to craft the blueprint that you want for your life and your legacy, for your organization, whatever it is that you're building and whatever you're a part of. That's the only way that you're going to make an impactful impression on the world and for all mankind, is to your why, focus on your reflections of life, and figure out how you're solving your own problems, because the same problem that you have, somebody else does. You know, we had a saying in the barbershop, at least I did, that I was no different than the man from the left or the right of me. The only difference was one conscious decision in either way of the world. And that will determine if you are where you want to be, where he wants to be, or where you should be. So I want to tell you about the ATD HQ community. It's a community that I have built, a private community for men, fathers, leaders of households who are building blueprints, who need the support system of like-minded individuals to bounce ideas off and to take themselves to 7, 6, and 8 figures. That community is open now. It will continue to be until I feel it. There's a number, and I will let that number be revealed once God reveals it to me. But there's a certain number of people that I'm allowing into this group. We have
God's favorite crown.
Hello. So I want to tell you about a couple of things I got going on. So I have ATD HQ, which is a community for men, fathers, leaders, anybody who is simply building something and crafting something as a legacy. It's an opportunity for you to build with other 6, 7 figure who are building intellectual properties, like myself, who I'm writing a book that will be out in 2025. Just a great opportunity for us to connect. The No Excuse to Just Action Challenge, 45-day challenge to change your life. So those are the things that you can check out. Links are in the descriptions. Go ahead, check them out. All right, so I appreciate y'all. Definitely give me some feedback. I got a link at the bottom that will allow you to give me some feedback or give me some questions, some other topics to discuss. I'm going and documenting my journey of life and what I'm going through, but I would love to see if I can do some things that maybe you want to see. I know that I have a day in the life video coming out. A veteran asked me the other day who watched my channel if I could do a day in the life for him, just basically showcasing what I've been doing since being out of the military and how I kind of put that together to have the life that I have at this moment. Again, my life isn't perfect, but if you're a person who wants to live this more freer entrepreneur father lifestyle with your children and your wife, it's definitely doable. Definitely a sacrifice, but it's definitely doable, and it's a way to unlock other possibilities. As always, the road ahead is long and hard. No place for the weak. You must be a warrior. Attack the day.